Hey, how's it going YouTube? Soulmess here, back today with a little bit of a different video this time. We'll be having a look at Holy Priest and Twisting Corridors, and I will teach you exactly how you can achieve God mode in Torghast and easily get your mock creeper. The reason why I'm making this guide is because I originally thought priests weren't very good, and especially not fun to play in Torghast. I was wondering why, but then it hit me. You see, when you're doing regular Torghast layer 8s, your run's over after floor 6 and you may have passed up on all of these psychic, scream and defensive powers, because really, you want to get it over with quickly, so you're aiming for damage. You might even look at those powers and go, why would I ever pick that? Those aren't any good. And trust me, I did too. However, Twisted Corridor is a whole different beast and actually requires those defensive powers if you want to climb all the way to the top. After doing layers 1 to 6 on my Resto Druid together with a friend from the guild I'm in, I decided to give layer 7 a go on my Holy Priest. The run went so well that I decided to do layer 8, and after just 2 tries we finished it and we got to mount. The one run that we failed, so to speak, wasn't even because I ran out of lives, but because halfway through I came to the realization that our build just wasn't coming together as nicely as I'd hoped. So before we get the run with the commentary going, I'll quickly go over the bread and butter for this build, the powers that you want to be on the lookout for, and some of the notable mentions. So let's get the show on the road. But before we do, I just want to say make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. As it stands, it turns out that 99.9% of the people watching my videos are currently not subscribed yet. And yeah, no, scratch that. I just find it hilarious when people pull up these statistics, and I just wanted to say it myself really. However, if you do feel like subscribing by the end of this video, I'm not going to stop you. So, starting off with some of the offensive powers. All of these are kind of mandatory if you want to make this build work, but luckily none of these except for some are epic, so the odds of finding at least one and probably multiple of these is very high. Firstly, we got probably the most important power that we will look for at the start of our run, and possibly one of the best powers that we can get, Horrific Dictionary. This will increase our intellect by 5% for every word spell that we cast. These are Apotheosis, Pain, Death, Justice, Serenity, Sanctuary, Fortitude, Shield, Barrier, and Radiance. So once we find this power to start our run, we will cast all of these spells, even switching to this just for the Barrier and the Radiance. And this will give us a 50% increased intellect right off the bat, and all you have to do to keep up the buff is just keep using word spells. The buff will never fall off as long as you cast one of them in the span of 5 minutes. Secondly, Cathartic. This power is huge and it will transform your Shadow Word Pain into your hardest hitting spell. Just having one is decent, but you're bound to find more of them. Having 2 or 3 will absolutely annihilate bosses, especially when paired with our next 2 powers, Pain Wheel and Painbreaker Song. Pain Wheel extends the duration of your Shadow Word Pain and also increases the damage it deals by 25%. I believe you can find 5 of these at most, but I could be wrong about that. Psalm makes it so Shadow Word Death consumes our Shadow Word Pain dot and instantly deals all of its remaining damage. Psalm is an epic power, but luckily we get a couple of shots at trying to find it after killing the 6th and 12th boss in Twisting Corridor. And lastly, Cruelty Sensor is a fantastic power that increases the damage we deal by 35% to adds that are feared, stunned, horrified, or dazed. This will especially come in play later on once we pair it with some of our CC enhancing spells that we have. Or powers, I should say. But let's have a quick look at our defensive arsenal first. Volatile Phantasm is the absolute most important component of this build. It creates an illusory decoy whenever we use Fade. This decoy will stay alive for some time and make enemies attack the decoy instead of you. Once the decoy dies, it will explode and deal a reasonable amount of damage that increases the longer your decoy stays alive. Note that you can use Power Word Shield on the decoy if you want to. This power is absolutely incredible and is basically the main reason why I'm calling this the Zero Stress build. Paired with Fragments of Obscurity, a common power that decreases our Fade cooldown by 10 seconds and also gives us a decent movement speed increase, it will alleviate a bunch of the stress and make us not have to worry about pretty much anything. Other defensive powers that we want to keep an eye out for are Thick Burlap Sash and Life Barrier. These are basically just health increases that will make our life a lot easier. Between Oberon Endurance and Burlap Sash, priests are able to get massive health boosts that will also notably strengthen our Power Word Shield when we have a couple of life barriers stacked. You can easily get 70 to 80k shields on a very short cooldown. CC wise there are only 2 powers that you want to be on the lookout for, but these are very much bread and butter to this run as well. These are Mask of Sheer Terror and Wailing Visage, boosting the amount of damage required to break your Psychic Scream and the duration of your Psychic Scream by 4 seconds respectively. Make sure to pick up at least 3 or 4 of these if you can. For Visage you could probably go with 2 or 3 since you're bound to break your fear by the end of the run anyway with the amount of damage you'll be dealing, but the combination of these will give you the breathing room when bosses are chopping through your Fate illusions by the end of the run. Whether you break the fear is up to you, but with just 3 Wailing Visages you can pretty much guarantee having fear back off cooldown by the time the first one runs out, or paired with Cruelty Sensor you can use this to set up some insane damage bursts. And lastly, a couple of notable mentions for powers that are very good but not mandatory to make this build work. Volatile Flesh is an incredibly strong offensive tool that will make our Fleshcraft shield explode for 200% of the damage it absorbs. Use this to pull a group of mobs, start channeling your shield, and watch it explode multiple times for big damage while everything just dies. Red Hot Mind Pokers is also an incredibly strong power, especially if you manage to stack a couple of Gafar sticks. Having it will greatly improve your damage output, but once again, it's not mandatory, so don't worry if you don't end up finding it. Reflective Shield can be very fun to use, especially if you manage to buff your shield value. You can try and experiment with some form of shield build, and I certainly don't discourage it. If you have the synergies there for this one, and you got some Phantasma to spare, or it's offered while the other powers aren't any of the main components for this build that I've mentioned, then by all means do go for it. Death Harvester is another very strong power, and will increase the damage of your Shadow Word Death by a metric fuckton, especially if you can find this one early into the run. And then we have Lens of Elchafer, however you want to pronounce it. And I took this one as an example, however, there are plenty more powers like this one. Basically, any of the powers that have a chance to fire a bolt of lightning, arcane, nature damage, any of the sort. All of these powers scale really well with other damage increasing abilities, as well as your intellect. So if you manage to pick up some horrific dictionaries and end up fighting one of these powers, I would highly recommend picking them up, as they will greatly increase your damage. And lastly, I think this one is pretty straightforward, but Oberon Venom. It's always worth increasing your critical damage, and if you think you're good with the other powers, start stacking a couple of these, and you will really see your damage burst spike. Okay, so that was certainly a mouthful, but I guess we can now dive into the lay rate run for Twisting Corridors with commentary. I hope this has been helpful so far, and I really hope you enjoyed the run. Alright, so first things first, there's something real quick that I want to point out about the towns. Which towns you pick, obviously there is a general preference for the towns. Make sure that you go for single target healing, don't go for prayer circle and all of that, because they are not useful in Torghast. Renewed Fate, Trail of Light, go for good, all of that. The main things that I wanted to point out for the towns is, first of all, Psychic Voice. Make sure to go for Psychic Voice over Censure. Censure is a very good taunt. However, there's a... Actually, it doesn't matter which one you go for really, but there's a power that you can pick up in Torghast that gives you the Psychic Voice taunt, or if you already have it, you can pick any other taunt on that row. So, actually, yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter which one you go for, it's kind of preference, but make sure, if you find that taunt, it's really good, because the combination of Psychic Voice and Censure gives you some very good CC. So, having both of those is very neat, especially in Torghast. And the last thing that I wanted to point out, so theoretically Apotheosis is better than Salvation. Salvation is a big cooldown, works a lot better in raids than it does in single target content. But the main thing here is, you'll see it in a second, but we are going to aim for the Holy Dictionary power, so that's what we're going to be looking for. And having that extra holy word that you can cast at the start of the run is very good, obviously, because that's another 5% increased intellect. So go for Salvation. Later on into the run, once you get to a broker, you can always switch back to Apotheosis, but for now, go for Salvation, just for the extra 5% increased intellect. So I will be speeding this bit up, because obviously we're gonna go back and forth through different layers. We're gonna check in, see which powers we get, and we really want to get that Holy Dictionary taunt as our first one. That's gonna be kind of crucial. I mean, just, it's a very good taunt, and if you can get multiple of those, it stacks incredibly well. it boosts all of our abilities and powers, especially if you get things like the Nature Lightning Bolts or the Arcane Bolts, things like that. Those abilities scale really, really well with Intellect, so that's just generally something to keep an eye out for. And that's the main reason we're doing this. There's some really good talents that you'll see that we come across as our first potential picks, but we'll be ignoring those for now, because we can get them later. We really want to start stacking up those holy dictionaries if we can. So getting that as our first talent, that's what we're looking for. So I'm gonna speed up this a bit. And obviously, like, going through these different instances of Torghast to see what our first power is, it only takes like 10 seconds to load back in and out. So we don't lose too much time, and it's gonna save us a lot of time in the end. Because I have a run which I can maybe show you guys at the end of this. I'm not entirely sure if I will do, but just keep my, trust my word on this one. It's like, I had a couple of runs where I took some other powers at the start, and like I said, it doesn't really matter too much, but in the end, really, I had a couple of runs and then like floor 12 or 15, or before that, really, where, I just realized that it's not gonna work out. I was looking for very specific powers, didn't get them. So yeah. So, here as well, right, we got the Volatile Phantasm power, which is arguably one of the strongest powers in our arsenal that we have as a priest. And I will skip over this one for one good reason. So, every 6 floors when you kill a boss, you will get a choice of 3 epic powers. And this is obviously an epic power, so there's a big chance for us to get this one back in the future. While the Holy Dictionary, sometimes you're lucky enough to get it, sometimes you're not. So, even though this power is insane, and we do want this power 100%, I'm confident that we will find it later. And that's also one of the reasons why, like I mentioned earlier on those runs, that I quit, halfway through, is because we got a couple of bosses down. We got like 2 of the 6 floor bosses down, so 6 and 12 we got them down, and I still hadn't found Volatile Phantasm, so at that point, it's kind of iffy. The chances of finding it after that are not very, not too big at all. So this was kind of crazy seeing this power pop up at the start, but as much as it hurt, just skip over it. There's a big chance to find it after killing the 6 or 12 boss. And here I was kind of happy that I didn't find the Holy Dictionary power, because, what's it called? Full Heart Interstitia. I absolutely hate that, wing. So I was kind of glad to not find the Holy Word there. And that's another thing with, if you're doing this as priests, I did layers 1 to 6 on my druid, and with a friend of mine, and the thing is, like, you blast through 1 through 6 so very quickly, and the thing is with a druid is that you've got so much burst potential between like Silent Knights, the stealth powers, the whenever you shapeshift you deal like increased 200% increased wrath damage, got all of the convoke powers, so you get so much burst damage. And I can actually pull up a screenshot. Like there's times where as a Resto Druid we were doing like 400k DPS, which is all burst. Like that's all burst damage. But then that falls off so very quickly. And yeah, once you get to like layer 7 and 8, the bosses are gonna have so much health that you won't be able to burst them down. Even if you get like 400k DPS in a very small window, you're not gonna be able to burst them down. So you do want to have. Oh wait, and this is where we hit the jackpot. So, but yeah, basically, the later bosses, you will not be able to burst them down. So taking this slow and steady is how you win this race. And once again, we hit the jackpot. We got our horrific dictionary. Sorry, I was calling it a holy dictionary. It's the horrific dictionary. Each different word spell that you cast increases your intellect by 5% for 5 minutes. You got your power word shield, you got your power word fortitude, you got what's it called, sanctuary, serenity, you got power word death and pain, and this is where the salvation comes into play. You also got your salvation. So many different holy words. Make sure you cast all of them. That's what we will be doing to start this off. And then we can't change our spec right here, but you'll see me later on. Once we get to a broker, I will change my spec to disc real quick, just so we can cast a holy word barrier and a radiance, because that's another 10% intellect. So you can do that once you get to a broker. And yeah, so this is where the run officially starts, right? I tried changing to disc, but I couldn't. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. I'm not exactly sure what why that is, but So I'm gonna grab my mouse over macro for power word shield. Make sure we cast everything, and right off the bat we should have, because we still haven't cast, death and pain yet. So right off the bat, that's like 40% increased intellect, right? Which is huge. And one thing, so the one thing I did wanted to say was, like, as a holy priest, slow and steady definitely wins the race. You do not want to, rush through Twisted Corridor at all. You really want to take your time, kill all the mobs, get as many powers as you can, because it's going to be necessary, for one. But secondly, it's impossible to rush as a priest, especially like in the first. Also, this was kind of sick. We hit our second horrific dictionary right off the bat. That is insane. We got really, really lucky with this, and that's another thing. Like in this run, you can try and aim for the powers that I'm getting. I will say in advance, this run I got really, really lucky with the powers that we got. But it just goes to show, like, second horrific dictionary, that's insane. That's 80% increased intellect. And that's gonna be huge. That's gonna be so big to help us through these first couple of layers. And like I was saying, as a priest, basically, you cannot rush Twisted Corridors. You can take a methodical approach, and you can go pretty fast, especially later on once you get more powers. But the first 6 layers, the first 6 floors, whatever, those are gonna be pretty tough, and you really, really want to take your time and kill these mobs one at a time. Don't overpull. You might get into some troubles if you do that. So just take them one at a time. Take it slow. You can see that damage is not too bad. And especially if you're solo queuing as well as a holy priest, you get 50% like reduced health, I believe, on the mobs, kind of like in the visions back in BFA. So solo queuing as a healer means less health. You can see I'm not doing like insane DPS, but at the same time, these mobs die pretty quickly. So just take them one at a time. You'll see me pulling like a couple here, but if there's no elites, obviously you don't have too much to worry about. But if there's like a pack with some elites in it, be very, very careful. And these shades actually do hit pretty hard. Alright, so we're gonna kill this guy, big, elite, rare spawn. I wasn't sure what to expect from this one, because I think this is probably the first time I've even seen this mob when I was doing this run. Some elites you'll see and you'll know what they do. Seen them before, so you know which powers you can expect from them. Because all of these elites have like a set, power loot table corresponding with them, so you know what to expect. But from this one, I had no idea which powers he was gonna drop. And that's, the power that I got from this guy is really, really good, but at the same time, it's not something that you can account for. It's not guaranteed that you'll see this guy again, so on different runs, because as far as I'm aware, the layers, the wings, the elites, they are all randomized. So we killed this guy, and we got some pretty good powers, some very interesting ones. So the one in the middle, basically, as you can see, the first time you deal damage to an elite enemy, you deal additional damage equal to half their maximum health. That's really, really good. That's really gonna help us with that first boss on this floor. It's a shame that it's just not like a permanent thing, that that would be insane. But after this effect occurs 3 times, the effect is lost and you gain 30% maximum health. Now, the reason why I ended up choosing this one over this one, because the health steal looks pretty juicy as well, right? That's 10% health steal. It's a high chance as well, so I'm not sure what the proc rate is on this, but that sounds pretty juicy, and I wouldn't normally pass up on that. But the main reason why I ended up choosing for the max health is because of the shield powers that we get. You can get the shield powers, the borrowed shield powers, that give you a bigger shield depending on your max health. So with that in mind, I ended up going for the middle one, because more max health just means bigger shields. And those, that's like, you can get up to like a 60, 70, 80k shield on a very short cooldown with Power Word Shield if you get a lot of max health. And we also get like the, aside from the Oberon Endurance, that gives you another 15% increased health. Aside from that one, Priest also has like a ton of health increasing powers with Fortitude. Powers that buff your Fortitude, that give you more max health. So with that in mind, it's very, very easy to stack high health on a Priest. So, and that's why I picked. And here you're gonna see the effect proc from the, or was it on this guy? One of these wasn't elite, and I'm pretty sure the effect from the middle power procced right there. Morat's Explosion, always a good power. You'll see me use that. To our advantage at the end of the run. That's really, really gonna come in clutch. Oh, it was this guy. This guy was an elite, so you saw like the hand shoot out that drained him to like half health. It's a shame. It's a shame that we had to waste that power on an elite this early. But at the same time, you'll see the boss go down very fast as well thanks to that power. Here, I think I was looking to see how many more procs I got from that, but whatever. So, shield up, straight down to half health. It's quite a sick power, honestly. It's kind of like the Ice Fury wand, except, they don't regenerate. And just Smite Spam. I forgot to mention, Justice is another holy word, so cast Justice is also going to give you more intellect thanks to the dictionary. Get the boss down, and immediately we pick up another very, very good power in the Kefar Stick. So, like I said, Kefar Stick is also going to be part of our like bread and butter of this build. Try to stack as many Kefar Sticks as possible. If you find Horrific Dictionary and Kefar Stick on the same, option to choose from, go with Dictionary, obviously. But, yeah, Kefar Stick, very, very good. Especially since we get Pinwheel, whichever it is, it buffs our Shadow Word Pain damage. And then we also get, there's another power that you can find. I don't think we got it on this run. Yeah, no, I didn't get it. But, there's another power that you can get on this run, or in Torghast, I mean. A power that buffs your initial strike from Pain. It basically makes your first initial strike always crit. So that's pretty big. Again, Oberon Endurance, we get more health, we just start stacking that. And you'll see, this is actually something funny that happens later on in the run, but is it here? Nah. killing a Malrat grants a bonus of Shadow or Death. Anyway, there's a funny thing that happens. I just started stacking health with the goal in mind, like, you know, we're gonna get so much health that we're gonna get huge power word shields, right? Here again, power word Fortitude grants an additional 10% stamina. Make sure to cast it again just to reapply it and get your buff active. So I just started stacking more and more health, right? Because I was like, you know, we're gonna get some huge shields. It's gonna be amazing. We're never going to die. Which, that's definitely one route that you can go, but, you know, that's what I had in mind at least. But we pick up a power that, later on, that reduces our max health with every floor that we go up. So yeah, that's kind of fun. It also buffs your damage and stuff like that, damage and healing, but, you know, I figured normally that's not a power that I would suggest if you're doing solo content, unless you know that you're playing a class that can stack up a lot of health very fast. But as a priest, I figured, you know, we'll be getting so many health stacking buffs that you might as well take that. Like, if you get that talent offered to you, you might as well just take it, because it's so good. Here I was just kind of testing the car stick build up, see what these rats were giving me, but nothing too interesting. And go the second boss. Shouldn't be too hard. We still had a proc from that volatile. Was it volatile? I forgot what it's called. Guillotine. We still had a proc from that, so that just made the first two bosses incredibly easy. So two really good powers here. Increasing the amount of damage required to break Psychic Scream and Power Word Fortitude 10% stamina. Like I said, I wanted to stack as much health as possible, but Mask of Sheer Terror, this is also, you know, kind of bread and butter for this build. Get your Psychic Scream, like if you find Psychic Scream powers, just take them, unless there are some very good counter offers. Mask of Sheer Terror is incredible. It's going to provide a lot of CC, a lot of utility later on, so if you can stack these, and the other two offers aren't too good, definitely take it. It's not bad, it's really good. I'm actually not sure which one I take here. I think I go for the Fortitude. Do I? I was definitely thinking about it. You see, it's actually a pretty hard choice, but I do think I go... Yep, it's okay. I go for the Psychic Scream. It's a really good talent. Even though if this build comes together, you'll be doing a lot of damage. So regardless, even if you stack this power like 4 or 5 times, you're probably still going to burst through that requirement. But, you know, it's worth taking. It's definitely worth taking. It's gonna make the run a lot easier. And as you can see, I'm really taking my time for this run, going out of my way to, you know, bash all these pots, I'll get all the Phantasma you can, get all the powers you can. It will be, you know, it's very useful. You know, you gotta kind of go in with that mindset that this run is going to take a very long time to complete, so you might as well just, you know, take the longest that you can, really. Like, there's no point in rushing it. You can expect to be here for 2 hours, so might as well just make the most out of it. I do take some breaks in between, like that's another thing I would recommend, is since this run will take so very long and you cannot burst through the whole thing, like some other classes can, just take some breaks in between, you know, it's gonna take a while, like I said, make the most out of it. And here I think I go for the mind control on the Malrat, with the Malrat explosion in mind, I think. Necromite Infusion, it's a pretty good talent, but yeah, I think I had the Malrat thingy in mind, so that's why I went with the litter, I think. just getting more Malrats, and also there's the power that gives us an additional Shadowware death charge every time we kill a Malrat. So that's some good synergy. It's not a talent that, you know, these other two were alright, I guess, aside from the Cosmic Ripple one. The Volatile Infusion, or Necro Light Infusion, whatever it was called. It's not a bad power, like I said, but the Malrat one, just keeping the synergy in mind that we have, no, it's good. We're gonna definitely pick up this one, Fragments, right? You pick up, yeah, okay. So, like I mentioned earlier as well, the Fade Illusion copy, or the Fade Illusion, is arguably the best power that you can pick up for this run. It will make everything so much easier in the end. So with that in mind, we definitely want to start stacking Fragments of Obscurity, because it reduces the Fade cooldown. It also gives us a nice movement speed increase. So if you find this, even though you do not have the Fade Illusion yet, definitely start picking them up, as reducing the cooldown of Fade combined with the Illusion, that's just the absolute nuts. So pick those up. Oberon Venom, I think that's the one that increases crit damage and healing, I think. It's a good power. It's a really, really good power, so if you have some spare Phantasma, do pick it up. If you don't have spare Phantasma, don't worry about it. It's a common power as well, so you will find it later on. And you will be able to stack it as well, so don't worry about it. Ravenous Cells, you know, you can pick them up. There are a lot of Phantasma though. If you don't have the Phantasma, don't worry about it. Same thing with Animal Cells. I always try to, I always look to see which ones he's selling first. And since a lot of our powers that are really, really good are common ones, there's a very high chance to just find the powers that we need to make this build work, outside of the Animal Cells. I do not pick up the Death Potions either. Because, also I think here is when I realized that I do want to go back. We're gonna switch to Disc, like I said, and we're gonna cast Power Word Barrier and Radiance, just to get the increased intellect. But yeah, I also don't pick up the Death Potions, we will... I think we die like twice on this run. There's not a very, very high chance of us dying if this build comes together. Like I said, the first 6 floors are a bit iffy, but once you make it through those and you start, the build starts coming together, this will be a very, very easy run. So cast Barrier, cast Radiance, and we switch back to Holy. So now we have 100% increased intellect, thanks to those 2 horrific dictionaries that we picked up early on. And we also switch back to Apotheosis. Now this is also a really good floor because there's a lot of powers on this floor. You'll start recognizing like the layouts of different floors after doing this for a while, and you'll start knowing where most of the powers are located, because most of the powers are always like in a set location. Not when it comes to the ones like mobs carrying powers, but you know, powers that are always like in a vase or something. Those will be in the same spot. Here I was moving around a lot because I wasn't too sure what those black swirlies, whatever it is that he's casting. I wasn't too sure what they were doing because they seem like they're just floating around. Sometimes they hit you, sometimes they don't. So I was trying to move around and see if there's like a way to dodge them, but I guess they just create these black spots on the ground. If you have the Kafar stick, you know, these black spots, they don't really do a whole lot of damage, it's just a little bit of ticking damage. If you have the Kafar stick, you can dip in and out of these, you know, take some damage. It's also going to buff your Kafar stick, so pretty good. These two powers, both pretty bad, but I guess Aegis might as well. Here was just testing out the litter, because it's usually not a power I pick in regular Torghast, because that's a thing with regular Torghast, right? Like in regular Torghast, these powers, you know, the run's pretty much over before you get any of the good stuff. Twisting Corridors, it's a bit of a difference, so I was just trying to experimenting with the Morats, getting more death charges. So you can see it's pretty good, we're at like 13 death charges right now. So there's usually a power back here, there might be more. If there's, you know, usually there's an elite in this platform. There's a chance that the elite is carrying a power, there's usually a power back there as well. A little bit further, if we go left to our right side, there's going to be a slope that has a power, like usually. So, kill this guy. Doesn't drop a power, I wasn't too sure. Psychic Scream, 4 additional seconds, like I said, any powers buffing Psychic Scream, really good. Later on, it will make, you know, they are pretty much what makes the build zero stress, in essence. Because you have so much CC with that. You get in trouble, you just Psychic Scream. And like I said, up this slope, you can see in that boss there's a power back there. There usually is. Now it's a bit of a nasty pull with all the shades that we got going on, but at the same time they seem to be distracted by our little friend back there, so that's not good. Here you can see when things are starting to get a bit messy, just you know, just chill. Scream them away. And with reduced duration, you know, you'll get to a point where you can literally just scream, watch mobs run away, and then by the time they get back to you, you get scream off cooldown again. Both of these powers, again, pretty meh, all in all, but keeping in mind that we have the Morat explosion, we also have the litter, if need be, so making it so they don't flee is a good thing. It's not a necessary talent by any means, but if you can pick it up, Sure, why not? An additional 4 seconds on Psychic Scream. Really good power. And actually, I wasn't looking at the tooltip just now, but I think I was looking to see how long it lasted, and I think our current Psychic Stream is like 16 seconds, maybe even 20 seconds. Well, it has a 30-second cooldown, so you can already see it's starting to pay off. Also a little bit of a tricky choice, obviously 10 Soul Remnants, that's 10% additional intellect, which is good, but at the same time, I noticed we only have like 130 Phantasma, so getting another 300, you know, might come in useful. Once we get to Broker, we can pick up some extra powers. So yeah, usually Soul Remnants is a really good pick if the other ones, you know, wouldn't have been as good. But I think in this case, we can pass up on the 10%. Intellect, especially since our dictionary already gives us like 100, right? So if we wouldn't have had that many dictionaries, I might have picked the Soul Remnants, but given how much intellect we already have stacked, I think the 300 Phantasma was the right choice there. You can see the Far Stick, the initial hit from Shadow Pain doing a crap ton of damage. You won't always see me recast Pain immediately, sometimes I'm trying to take a bit more damage before casting it, just to get the initial hit up. Again, easy choice here, just go for the Mask of Terror. The other two weren't anything worth noting. So just get the Mask of Terror, increase the damage that it takes to break the Psychic Screen. We're at 800% right now. I'm not sure what the exact amount of damage that is, but you know, we should be able to get a couple of casts off during the Psychic Screen before actually breaking it. Shackle and Death is also a really good spell in Torghast. There's a lot of enemies that you can actually shackle in here, since a lot of these enemies are undead. So make use of that if need be. And you can see Shadow Pain just take care of these guys quite easily. Don't be afraid to take damage, you've got so much healing in your arsenal. Between your Guardian Spirit, you can also, obviously, you have the Guardian Spirit, there's so much healing in your arsenal, you don't have to worry about damage at all. If you have the trinket from Sun King, that's also an insanely good trinket in situations like these. Because it prevents us from pretty much getting one shot. So we're still just taking it nice and slow, right? Still just taking one mob at a time. Sometimes 2 or 3 if we think we can handle it, but in general, like I said, just take it slow. Slow and steady wins the race. I think we end up pulling the big guy here on accident. We do chain him. Yeah, so I'm trying to pull this guy in front of him away, but it pulls both of them. Bit annoying, and they were dealing a lot of damage. So you can see using Fade to get away from them. We shackle the big guy. Deals a ton of damage, but we're not worried. As long as we're not getting one shot. We can use this to buff our own far stick damage. So don't be afraid of that. And these mobs are actually super annoying because they don't really die. They will spawn back every once in a while. Again, we pick more Fortitude, Health, and don't forget to use Fortitude again, just to buff up again. And there's the other guy who refused to die. Just dot him up. Here you can see I'm not moving out of the black stuff. I wasn't taking a whole lot of damage, so I figured, you know, might as well use it. Yeah, the taking damage, I mean. Buff your fire stick. I got a bit confused about that guy. More rat explosion damage. And there's the other guy just respawning again. As well not. this was a bit sketchy. I think I used Guardian Spirit. No, I don't. Yeah, like in situations like those, you can pop Guardian Spirit if need be if you think you're gonna die. Looks like I didn't think I was going to die. Which, in hindsight, looking back at it, I could have. So, probably would have been good to pop Guardian Spirit there. Just in case. But nothing happened, so we're good. So now we're gonna fight the big guy. There's one. We're not using Justice on purpose, I think, because I want to use it, save it for the big guy. I don't want to blow like a minute cooldown. Even though you get some good damage reduction at the same time. The damage that we're taking here, that was from Shadow Word Death, because we got so many Shadow Word Death charges. So that was self-inflicted damage. Not sure why I didn't use Justice there. Oh, probably yeah, because I wanted to interrupt the Death Bolt. Do I? I do. Very late though. Not the best interrupt. So we're just gonna screen them away. I'm gonna deal with the tiny ad first. I don't have to worry about the big ad breaking. Wanna hit him with a big ol' Shadow Word Pain for a ton of damage when he gets back here. Or maybe I don't. That's, yeah, okay. We just take care of him like that. Yeah, you can see down here I've got my psychic screen. You can see it's all off cooldown already. So, we get it back so fast. Now this was an interesting choice, because once again, like I said at the start as well, like these elites, it's impossible to expect an elite on these floors, or to know which one is going to spawn, so, this Defiance of Death is not part of the actual build. It's a bit of a double-edged sword. It's actually kind of interesting now that I think back about it, but Gaze of Death, not too good. I'm sure some classes can make use of it, but, for us, it's really not that good. But Defiance of Death, very interesting talent. You're unable to lose more than 25% of your max health from a single attack, which, like I said, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because at the same time, you want to take damage from anything to buff up your Kafar stick. So the more damage you take, obviously, the more you're going to buff up your Shadow Word Pain, but at the same time, not being able to lose more than 25% of your max health from a single attack will become very, very good once we get to the later floors, because, bosses tend to one-shot you, so having this, that's actually not too bad. That was a good pickup. Getting dazed into the explosion is a bit annoying. But like I said, it's nothing too major to worry about. Didn't kill us. And it buffs our Kafar stick once again. So here's a little funny thing as well, right? So, like I said, you have so much time to complete this run. Don't think you're gonna rush through it. Just take your time, enjoy, have a good time. So here I think I took a short smoke break, if I'm not mistaken. And while I was doing this, I was basically just standing in the black whatever it is, just to test to see how quickly my Cathartic would build up, because I wanted to try and see if I could potentially one-shot this like final guy on the floor with a single Shadow Word Pain. So I was just standing here, I was rolling smoke. I will speed up this section in just a minute, or I will just cut to the part where, you know, once we get back we start fighting him. But I just basically stood here, try to build up the damage and see, you know, how quickly it will build up and if we could one-shot him. Unfortunately the black stuff does disappear after some time, which I didn't know. I thought it would be here to stay as long as I was standing in it, but yeah, it goes away after a while. But we still got, you know, a fairly decent first hit, so I will cut this part once we get back and to the point where we start fighting him. This just goes to show, right? Like, so take your time. I'll keep saying this. Take your time, take some breaks, enjoy. You know, Torghast is a place to have fun and to experiment with stupid builds and stuff like that. I really do enjoy roguelikes, so to me, I do love Torghast. I'll definitely be doing more, even though I've got my mount now. I'll definitely be doing more of these because I had a great time doing them. So yeah, if you can think of other like stupid things that you want to try out, just try it out. Just take your time, try it out, and just have fun. Cruelty Sensor is a really good power in combination with our, you know, all of the psychic stream powers that we've been picking up. Just getting 35% more additional damage to creatures that are feared. There's also a power, I think, I'm not sure if we get it in this run, but there's this power that holy damage has a chance to stun things, which is a really good power if you can pick it up as well. So Cruelty Sensor pairs very nicely with those. And definitely if you can start stacking this up, it will make your run a lot easier. So we get Cruelty Sensor. So here's the one that I was talking about, right? You get an additional 15% damage and healing when you ascend to a new floor. And you lose 5% of your max health when you ascend to a new floor as a downside. So 15%, insane. We still have 13 floors ahead of us, so we can still ascend 13 times. As you can see, that's 65% max health loss or 70% max health loss. That's a lot. That's a lot of max health loss, but we can counterbalance it by, you know, picking up all of the fortitude powers. So with that in mind, it's actually really not too bad. While I was doing Torghast with a friend of mine from the guild, he was Elemental Shaman and I was on my Resto Druid, and we dubbed the combo Lava Chicken. We had a ton of fun doing it, but he at one point got this town as well. And I'm pretty sure once we got to like layer 18, he only had like 20 or 30k health. So he'd get one shot, but at the same time, we were both doing so much damage. I think that boss melted in like 5 seconds, like quite literally. So it ended up working out, but it was very, very scary. I think we only had like 1 health left because, mobs would like look at him funny and he would die. So, really good power. Like you can see, I'm really debating it right here. I'm really thinking about it. Because I was having flashbacks of that time. But at the same time, I thought, why the heck not? It's definitely much better than the other talent, and I mean, hey, we can counter it. We can gain a lot more health than a lot of other classes can because of Fortitude and the buffs for it. You can see we ascended 1 floor, now our damage is increased by 30%, and we're 10% max HP down. So, Broker Time, Pain Wheel, really, really good talent. You definitely want to try and pick that up. Oberon Endurance, and Roll-Up Sash, so that's actually perfect. Those were the powers that we need for, to counterbalance the epic talent that we picked up. So we get all the health increases, we pick up Pain Wheel, because Pain Wheel is insanely good to buff our Shadowward Pains, and more Fortitude. I think we get to sell. Or do we go for the guaranteed decent power? Really not sure what I took here. Okay, now we end up going for it, so Reflective Shield is really not bad though. There's a fun shield build that you can go for. So here, I think the obvious choice was the 10% increased intellect. But yeah, shield is not bad. This boss, I will proceed by saying, if you do get this boss, obviously I don't know which bosses you're going to get if you're doing your run. But this boss is fairly easy. He spawns a puddle underneath him. You need to drag him out of the puddle, otherwise he's going to get buffed and he deals a crap ton of damage. And he also spawns a couple of vats that you need to deal with ASAP. You can try to outrange him if you want, but that's not guaranteed to work. They do a reasonable amount of damage, and by that I mean they actually do quite a lot of damage. So you want to target the ads, you want to focus them down, and aside from that, this boss is pretty easy. He also fears you, so if that happens, you want to have your interrupts ready, you want to have your own fears ready. Just make sure that you can interrupt the fear, because it's kind of annoying to deal with. And I will also say I also died the first time, so this attempt I do die, because I didn't focus the ads quick enough. I thought I could just, let them be and use the damage that they dealt to me to dish out a ton of damage with my own Shadowward Pain. And while that did work to a certain extent, like I said, the ads do need to be dealt with. So I will die the first time. I'm not going to cut it out because, I want to try to keep the footage uncut as much as possible. But, I'm just saying. So this is the puddle. I did a very dumb thing, stunning him inside of it and keeping him inside of it. I was not really thinking this one through, and at this point I realized, like, okay, this guy's actually doing a lot more damage than I thought he would. And I think this is where I popped my wings. Wings do end up saving me. But I was just focusing the boss, and at this point I was like, okay, nah, it's not gonna work, I need to kill the ass, but at that point, the fight was already pretty much over. And by that I mean, I was pretty much done. He's gonna run towards me, he's gonna walk through the puddles, which is gonna buff him even further. I was looking at those stacks like, what is he? How? What is going on? But yeah, I get feared, and I die. So at that point I realized, okay, just burning through the boss is not gonna work out just yet. we're not strong enough yet. We're gonna need no. We're gonna actually have to deal with the mechanics. And like I said, floor 126 is arguably the hardest part of this run, at least for Holy Priest. For druids, like on my druid, like I said, it's the other way around, because like the first few bosses with less health, you can just burst through them, but then you get to the later bosses that you cannot burn down, and those start to become an issue. With priest, it's kind of the opposite. Your run starts off very slow because you do not have the damage. You do not have, I mean, you have decent survivability, but DCC, everything, you know, it's it takes a while to get going. It takes a while for this build to actually stack up, but once it is stacked up, the final floors are just pretty much nothing. Like, you're gonna just stroll right through. So, second attempt for this boss, we do kill him here. Like I said, focus the ads and pull him out of the big circles. Leaving one ad up isn't a big deal, but you can see that these ads actually spawn quite frequently. So, you know, you might leave one alive, but then the other ones spawn and you might end up with like 4 or 5 of them. So just try to kill them evenly if you can. Here I was trying to outrage him. You can see the guy in the back wasn't targeting me, I was too far away from him. But the guy in front, I still wasn't, even though I was on the other side. So they have, you know, quite a range to him. A little bit of a hectic fight. But I think my Shadow Word Pain probably gets him at this point. I was really just stacking up all the damage. We go for a fear, and ended up with Shadow Word Pain. So Cruelty Sensor coming into play, 35% increased damage to fear targets. We fear him, we have so much damage stacked up because of the Kafar stick. Do we get? No. This talent, also not bread and butter for this build, you don't need this one, but it did end up being very, very good, because there is one power that you do also want to try and pick up if you can, which is a power that, once you cast Shadow Word Death, you will consume all of your Shadow Word Pain stacks, and it will deal the total damage, like, from the Shadow Word Pain and your Shadow Word Death, which is a huge boost, right? So with that in mind, I ended up picking this one. I was hoping for the Fade Illusion one, but we didn't get it on this, which made me kind of doubt, like, should we continue this build or not, because usually you want to try and get the Fade Illusion one. But we had one more try at it, right? Like, floor 12, we get another epic power set. So with that in mind, we decided to keep going. Getting this early on was insane though. Like, stacking up those Shadow Word Deaths, we were doing so much damage by the end of it with Shadow Word Death that, you know, I was very happy to get this power. And like I said, we were very lucky in general with this run. We got some insane synergy. Like, you can minimize, what's the word? Minimize? Basically, you can shrink down this build to just like a couple of powers that are very key, which are the Fade ones, the Psychic Scream ones, and Horrific Dictionary. Those are like the main bread and butter talents that you want to go for. But anything else that synergizes outside of it, like the Shadow Word Death talents, those are insanely good as well. So I pretty much got everything I wanted on this run. But you know, even without that luck, Hero is kind of bummed out, I think, because Cold Heart. But yeah, like even if you don't get all of those crazy talents, you should still be able to just cruise through to the end, because all of the Fade and Scream talents are so very good, and they will just make your life so much easier later on. Also, I'm sure you guys probably already know this if you've done a fair bit of Torghast, but if you do come to Coldheart Interstitia, you want to try and kill the agents as fast as possible, the Coldheart agents, because they will cast a fear, and that fear can be very, very nasty. They can, you can run into other mobs, and that is probably going to kill you, so if you see an agent, kill him right away. So we see the agent, we try to mind control, but it didn't really do a whole lot. There is a mind control build out there that you can try and, use if you want to experiment with it, but without the additional damage from the mind control targets, it's really kinda not worth it. But it's, it's decent ground control. If there's an agent surrounded by like 2 other rats, you can mind control the agent and have him killed by the other rats. Cold Heart just takes a very, very long time to get through as well, because the floors are usually very big, and these ads are kinda tedious. I'm sure as a DPS class, or a class with a lot of DPS, or spec with a lot of DPS, this probably isn't too hard, but Holy Priest doesn't have a lot of AoE in general. You have decent single target damage, but you can actually, like, once these powers start rolling, you get a ton of single target damage, but still, in terms of AoE, it's really not that good. So just try to take them one by one and burn them down. These big owl guys you see in the back, they gain enrage stacks when you move. So like when you pull them and you move around a lot, it will gain I think, yeah, this is an agent in the back, which I didn't realize. We don't get feared though, because the feared is like an AoE, small close range AoE thing. So you can outrange it, so you don't get feared. Basically, these big owl guys, if you pull them, you enter combat and you move around a lot. These guys are gonna start hitting really, really hard. So the key to these is just pull them and don't move. I say that now, but I think I actually do move around quite a lot. At least on the first guy. Do I? No, never mind. Yeah, so you can see this debuff or whatever that's sticking. Basically, as long as that's sticking, it will gain increased stacks when you move around. Another Kafar stick. Very, very hard choice actually between the Fade and the Kafar stick. I think I do go for the Kafar stick just because more damage. Generally, that's kind of what you want to go for, is more damage, because, you want to try and kill these bosses before they can actually do a lot of harm to you, but having the Fade cooldown, if this was anything other than Cathartic, I probably would have gone for the Fade cooldown, but Cathartic is just kind of too good to pass up. If this would have been Horrific Vision, obviously that would have been the pick. Or Horrific Dictionary, that would have been the pick. Over anything else, but, you know, Cathartic over Fade cooldown. Especially since the Fade cooldown is also just a common power, so you're bound to find more of them. Raise max health, just to counteract the health decrease that we got. So, that's one small comment about this talent as well. They'll launch a glob of acid, inflicting X amount of nature damage. Talents like these, so this talent, there's the Arcane Bolt talent every time you crit. There's like one that shoots lightning. There's a bunch of talents like this, right? That just your attacks have a chance to, you know, do this or that, inflicting more damage. Talents like these really scale well off of your main stat, so intellect for us. If you're stacking a bunch of intellects, it's not gonna deal 16k damage, it's gonna deal a ton more, so keep that in mind. This talent is actually insane, so is the Arcane Bolts. If you can stack those, it's going to be a lot of extra damage, especially when you have a lot of additional like main stats. So if you can pick this up, go for it. And I do know that the next, like, the way we have to go is behind us. There's like a drop down off a ledge that we have to go. I do know, I'm well aware, but like I said, the main reason that, once again, we are taking it slow, and you want to try and kill just every enemy on the floor, really. Every anima cell that you can pick up, will make your life a lot easier, potentially. So, if you can pick up more anima, just go for it. Like I said a couple of times, you'll be in here for a while, so what's that, additional 2-3 minutes? What's that going to take? Or what difference is that going to make, rather? not entirely sure which one I go for here. The Necromite Infusion is pretty good. Do I go for that one? No, I think, yeah, okay, Phantasma. So once again, Necromite Fusion, pretty good power, but you know, getting that 300 extra Phantasma might mean that we can pick up like 1 or 2 more extra powers from the broker. And since a lot of the powers that they are selling are commons, unless of course you have the upgrades from Venari, but most of the powers without the upgrades will be common. So yeah, I mean, there's a bigger chance for us to get the powers for the build that we want from Venari if we don't yeah, I mean, like I said, bigger power, or bigger chance for us to get the powers from Venari. So, it's probably just worth going for Phantasma at that point. Always look for the agents as well, like I said. If you see an agent, try and kill him immediately. Because you don't want to get feared into that big bag ahead of you. Here I was trying to mind control the rat and then blow him up, but it didn't work out as intended. Here, this part got a little bit sketch. I used my Psychic Scream, but for whatever reason it didn't affect the other ones. We pop our wings, try and save our own ass, and luckily the big guy reset, like he unleashed back to the middle. Which is very, very fortunate, because otherwise we probably would have died here, since we were running away from the other mobs, and movement, you know, powers him up. So, the other big guy comes back, and deal with him now. But that got a little bit sketch, not gonna lie. Huge power word pain hit right there. And that is just the start, really. I'm not a huge fan of the flesh heal power. So Fleshcraft increases intellect, it's pretty decent. It's gonna counteract with one of the powers that we will get later on, but I didn't foresee like getting that power that I'm talking about at all, because it's the one that whenever your Fleshcraft shield breaks, it's going to deal damage based on the amount that you took, which is a really, really good power. But like I said, I wasn't, you know, foreseeing getting that power at all. It's not part of the build, so to speak. So it was just a nice addition. But it does counteract. You can see huge power word pain hit right there. But yeah, so it does kind of counteract with the intellect buff that we get from it. Another pain wheel, which is huge. Really, really nice pickup right there. Like I said, it's also like once again a bit of double-edged sword with the one power that increases our max health, but at the same time, we pick up so many max health increases along the way that it's kind of balanced out in that way. But without that one power that reduces your max health, you can imagine, like, by the end of this run, I think I had like around 120k HP or something, I think, and that was reduced by 70%. So I would have had more than 200k, which means our shields would have been probably more than 100k as well. So that's 100k shield on like a 7-second cooldown, which is huge, right? So it's a lot of health to work with. If you can pick up those life barriers, they are really, really good. So normally I'd say keep your chastis. If you see an agent, keep your chastis just in case you can't get him down quick enough, because you do want to interrupt the fear if you can. But you know, at this point we were dealing a fair amount of damage, so I figured, you know, might as well just use it to, you know, try to kill him ASAP. So I think for this one, I think I want to say made a mistake, even though yes and no, not really. I should have probably gone for the Phantasma, even though I have 830 already, so I can buy, you know, quite a lot of powers if I want to. None of these are particularly interesting, to be fair. The Irritating Moth Dust is a very, very small circle, pretty much, that makes enemies deal 40% decreased damage. So it's not a bad power. It's a good, you know, defensive sort of option. I think here I went for the Elixir. Elixir's not bad. It can save your ass every now and then, and we had quite a lot of, you know, uptime on our Psychic Scream already, so I figured that the Elixir was better. But, so the Irritating Moth Dust, it's a very, very small circle in which enemies deal 40% decreased damage. So it's not a bad defensive tool, but at the same time, it's such a small area of effect, so unless you can keep the mobs that you're pulling when it procs very, very still inside of that circle, it's going to be good. But at the same time, you know, it's not exactly worth it either. So I think the 150 Phantasma would have been better, because it could have given us another power from the broker if we need it. So here's the thing I was talking about as well. I think I end up mind controlling this agent just to kind of experiment and see if the javelin guy would kill the agent for me, which I think he ended up doing. Yeah, mind controlling things is very, very fun, but at the same time, you know, you wanna... I also don't have my vet health bar, so I can't really see how much health the agent has remaining. But, I mean, yeah, so he does end up killing the agent, pretty much. But mind controlling powers are... or mind controlling is generally, I'd say, not really worth it unless you're using it on Morats to gain more of them. Unless you get the damage upgrades, because there's a couple of damage upgrades that you can get that will certainly just make the run quite easy as well, if you do get them. So here I was kind of experimenting with the, whatchamacallit, the fear range. I think at this point I realized that the range is, very small for the, whatchamacallit, for the fear. So you can just outrange it if you want. I thought it was guaranteed, like, targeted fear, but it's just an AoE one. And as you can see, that's the irritating cloud dust I was talking about. It's a very, very small area. So, I'm not sure what the exact hitbox is on that area. Like, if it's probably slightly bigger than it looks, I would imagine. But, it just looks very small, so in hindsight, it's probably not really worth it. So, another horrific dictionary. That is insane. Really hit the jackpot on that one. So that's 150% intellect increase, which is obviously, that is huge. Chance for 35% increased versatility, it's not bad. Burst obviously means more healing, more damage, less damage taken, more damage done, all of that. So a chance for 35% increased versatility is quite big. It's definitely one of the better stacking powers that you could possibly get. In terms of like random procs. There's a couple of powers like that. There's one that gives you like increased chance for crit and all that. The crit one, obviously not bad, but the first one, I would say, you can see right there, I had like 42% first, which is, that is big. And this is, like I said, we absolutely hit the jackpot. So we find the volatile... Let's go back just a second. We find the volatile phantasm, which is the fade illusion. This power is what makes this build come together and what makes our endgame so insanely easy, right? So this power will create an illusion for 10 seconds. All of the threat will go onto that illusion. The mobs will start attacking it. You can buff it with Power Word Shield if you want, so you can try to keep it alive for as long as possible. But the moment it runs out, the moment it explodes, it's going to deal a lot of damage. So combine this with the reduced fade cooldown, which if you get 2 or 3 of them, if you get 3, it's pretty much 0 cooldown. If you get 2 of them, it's still only a 10-second cooldown, so you can use it pretty much the entire time. This power is insane. So I was hoping to get this offered as, I basically was thinking that if we don't get, once we make floor 10 or floor 12, sorry, and we kill that boss, we get 3 more epic powers. If Volatile Phantasm is not one of them, I was probably going to end the run then and there and just try a new one. But we were really lucky. We got this early on. We got this not even from an epic boss pull, so we got this, just like that. Insane. If there was a horrific dictionary here, there's a Cathartic here, as you can see. Cathartic, really good. Even if there was a horrific dictionary here, I would have gone for a Volatile Phantasm. So at the start of the run, you want to definitely aim for that horrific dictionary. I would say if you even saw it happen at the start, right? So even if you get Fade Illusion at the start of your run, it's not what you want. You want Horrific Dictionary, just for the stat increase to make the original 6 floors easier on yourself. Later on, you want to try and pick up the Volatile Phantasm, because if you pick this up later on, that's what's going to pretty much complete your build, and make the rest of the run a lot easier. So, like I said, if there was a dictionary here, or a Cathartic, doesn't matter, you go for the Phantasm, always. So we pick up another pain wheel. Insane. More health. Obviously, we need to still counterbalance the health loss that we have. Another burlap sash. You are pretty much guaranteed to get these powers from the broker. Burlap sash is pretty much guaranteed to show up if you don't have the broker or the Venari upgrades yet. Because it's a common power, you're guaranteed to get this. So we pick that up. We pick up the pain wheel. We get the cell because why not? Do I get? Yeah, we just end up with the 2 cells and saving our phantasm. Not the best options. We pick up the loot phantasma shield, which isn't very good. But generally, I think I'm taking a break here, so I'm gonna skip ahead in just a second. But Visage for the additional scream duration. Again, very very good power, but we had quite a lot of Visage stacks already, so I think our scream was already lasting like 12 seconds longer than it originally should. So at that point, you know, it's not really worth spending 125 Phantasma on. If we wouldn't have gotten many of them, I probably would have bought it because it's a very very good power, but you generally want to aim around like 3 or 4 of those. If you can get 3 or 4 of those throughout the run, and obviously in Twisted Corridors you're bound to get a ton of powers, so if you pick this up along the run, try and aim for like 3 or 4. Any more than that is welcome, but you're very likely just to burst through the scream anyway. Like if you don't have the scream break power, the one that increases the damage needed to break the scream by like 400%. If you don't have a lot of stacks of those, it really doesn't matter if your duration is like, 25 minutes. Like the duration for a scream could last 25 minutes, but the moment you deal enough damage, you're gonna break through it anyway. So keep that in mind. Like Visage, very good, but don't waste Phantasma on it unless you unless you don't have many yet. You could probably buy it. So I could have definitely bought another one here if I want it, but I didn't end up doing it because we have quite a few. The health you definitely always want to pick up. Reflective Shield, I thought about this one, I'm pretty sure, because I was like looking at it. Reflective Shield is a very very fun build that you can do. Like I said, if you get a ton of health with all the health stacks that you can do, you pick up a ton of health and then you just go for the shield. Basically, you gain like 5% max health shield or something. So you can get like insane shields that have more than 100k shield value. Reflective Shield is very very good on that build. But I was thinking about it. I really was, because I think on my last run that I did, the one before that, the 7, I ended up with a pretty like stupidly broken shield build. Also in tandem with the Fade Illusion and the Psychic Scream, like combined with that, I ended up having a very very strong build, which I can show a clip of that later. But basically, good talent, you can pick it up. I decided not to, but it's up in the air. Like it's still very very good. I think the main reason why I didn't pick it is because I was still keeping in mind that my max health would be reduced. So with that in mind, I figured that my shields aren't going to be as powerful. So that's why I didn't pick it up, I think. So yeah, let's skip ahead. I think I'm taking a break here. Yeah. Okay, so I'll just skip ahead until we continue. Okay, so onwards we go. So you can see that those power word dev stacks are really paying off quite nicely. We're doing around like 25 to 30k with power word dev at the moment, which isn't a huge amount, but obviously that's going to get buffed as we get higher and higher as we ascend Torghast. And it's enough to kill more rats, so that's pretty much like the main thing to keep in mind there, right? And you can definitely just see how good the power word, not the power, but like the Fade Illusion is. So we can drop those every 10 seconds. We lose all aggro, and those illusions actually do a fair amount of damage. So the build is really just perfectly coming together at this point. I didn't see there was an agent in this pack. That was kinda my bad. I should have checked first. Which, again, like right now it wasn't a huge problem, but there's definitely areas in Coldheart Interstitia where, you know, it's very crowded, there's a lot of mobs. Like those big platforms, circular platforms. If it happens on one of those, then you can definitely screw yourself over if you don't focus the agents first. So you can see the one fade despawned. Did some damage, and we had our fade back up already. So you can just go from one fade into the other. And this is going to save you so much trouble. It doesn't work as well on ranged ads, like you see they are targeting the Fade now. However, some ranged casters will just straight up ignore your Fade Illusion. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you try to outrange them. Like you outrange them when they're targeting you and you Fade, they're probably still gonna keep targeting you. Another Pain Wheel, which is, once again, very big. More Shadow Word Pain damage, and it's already quite, you know, it's building up. We're already dealing quite a lot of damage with Pain. These guys, the Ascendants, they will jump to you even if you have, even if they're targeting your Shade, or Fade Illusion, whatever you want to call it. They will jump from, like, between you and potential allies if you're doing this with friends. So, it's just something to keep in mind. Not entirely sure. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say, not entirely sure what I'm doing here. But as you can see, he just jumped to me even though he was aggroed onto the illusion. They do that. Just got powers on this platform. I don't remember what I got here. I really like these chest puzzles. The one with the skulls and the chains. It's simple, but I like it. Let's check in Angel's Mercy. So Angel's Mercy is the Desperate Prayer power. The damage you take reduces the cooldown of Desperate Prayer. It's not bad. I think I end up going for that power. Because Orb of Replenishment, like, I'm not... With this build, you're really... Like, dying is not an issue. You shouldn't be dying at any point. Especially if you manage the fades and the screams well, so... It's really just a zero stress build. You don't have to worry about any of that. So I think that's the main reason why I didn't go for Orbs of Replenishment, is because... You know, we can heal ourselves. We don't need the orbs to heal. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really to worry about. Soul Exploiter, interesting talent. I don't really think it's not really that good. It does make clearing packs a bit easier, but I mean, it's yeah, it's kind of whatever. It's a nice pickup though, but not really needed or anything. I think I ended up, at this point I started picking up some Obularon Venoms because we were, you know, we were really stacking up our damage at this point, and if you get like halfway into the run and you can start stacking up some crit damage, that's really going to pay off. Like, you stack up like, I don't know, it's 6% per stack, right? So even if you get like 3 or 4 of them, that's still like 18, 24 additional crit damage. Percent additional crit damage, so that's really, really good. Alright, next boss, and this is going to be the first... I don't even know if I use the illusion all that much. I was gonna say this is like the first boss that we do with the illusion talent. But I don't even think I use it all that much here. Or maybe I do. The illusion does kind of counteract the Cathartic, as you might have realized or thought about. Obviously you want to be taking damage for the Cathartic to really dish out a lot, but you know, there's gonna be times where the fade explodes faster because it's taking too much damage, and then you'll be taking some damage, so that will build up your Cathartic pain damage just in general. But that's where the pain wheels also just come into play, right? Stacking those pain wheels will just increase the whole thing. We pick up another horrific dictionary, which is big. So we're at 200% increased intellect right now. I think the most horrific dictionaries I picked up on one run was 6. 5 or 6, I don't exactly remember. But I think we actually get 5 on this run. So that's what I'm saying, like, get horrific dictionary at the start. Look for a horrific dictionary, it's gonna help out majorly throughout the run, if you can start stacking those. Because you can find them fairly frequently, right? So... had we not... because like at the start of this run, we picked up 2 horrific dictionaries right at the start. We started off with one, and then the first power that we found was another one. But imagine if we hadn't started off with the first one, right? That would have been 50% increased intellect off of the second one. But no, we started off with 1, so that's 100% increased. So that's a huge, like, that's huge at the start of a run. And, you know, the more you find, just the better it gets. Really. These guys were actually doing some nasty damage. Didn't really matter too much, but that's what I mean, right? Like, sometimes you don't even have to use Fade. You just take the damage. Another Pain Wheel. Big, we got 5 right now, that's 125% increased pain damage. With the Cathartic on top of that. So, same type of platform as before where I mentioned that both powers are in the same spot, right? You can see, same type of platform, there is a power in the back, there's an elite standing in the middle. Usually there might be, there might be more than one, but these might have a power. They don't always, but there's a chance. So yeah, and then there's going to be the hill to the left, like you go left and then right. There's the hill that leads up. There's going to be a power there as well, at least there should be. So all of these powers kind of spawn in the same spots, which you will learn after some time. There's different floors with different layouts, but all of these floors have the same recurring layout, so to say. So you'll always find this floor will always have the same layout. Not like this floor, not like floor 11 of this, but like, you know what I mean, right? It's basically, you have Cold Heart Interstitia, and there's like a bunch of maps with different floor layouts. And those floor layouts are not gonna change, so if you've been on this floor once, you'll start learning where the powers are and what it's like. You'll know what to expect, where the mobs are gonna spawn, things like that. So, in the vase, right in the back, there's a power. This big guy has a chance to drop a power. And there's a chest to the left side, which usually there's not, I think? Like, that chest isn't always there, but this vase with a power should always be here. Another cruelty sensor, 35% more increased damage to fear targets. It's gonna definitely help us out later, again. More crit damage increase. So like you see, even though we're 11 floors in and our build is coming together very, very nicely, even at this point I'm still going out of my way to grab that couple of extra Phantasma, even though it's, not a huge amount or anything. It's just, like I said, this run takes us a while. I'll keep saying it. You might as well just, take your time. Enjoy it. Grab all the little bits of Phantasma and powers that you can find. And like you can see, we're really just cruising through, opposite of like the start of the run where we had a little bit of issues. Just taking it slow, like at this point, we're just cruising through. You can see like right here, Fade takes another 2-3 seconds before it's up again. So we take a bit of damage. Again, just boosting our pain. He broke our fate very, very quickly here. But another one coming right up. We do get feared. But again, doesn't matter. You'll be taking, you might be taking a bit of damage, but you can heal it up very fast. And this is what I mentioned earlier, like the critical hit with the Arcane Bolt, that just scales incredibly nicely with the amount of intellect that we have. So it might say that it's doing like 10k damage, but it's actually gonna hit for like 50 or 60k. I always forget about these Ravenous Sauce. I don't even know if I end up using that one. Because I always just forget about him if I don't have him on my bars, which I think here I did put it on my bars. Because if it's not on my bars, I'll just straight up forget about it. So floor 12 coming up, which is another epic boss, epic power boss. I think we end up picking the Mask of Sheer Terror because the other ones aren't really all that interesting. But obviously the damage for our Psychic Scream, that's a big one. So double power. Killing Morad increases our max health again, just to counteract our health decrease that we have, and then we end up going for Life Barrier, so bigger shields. Not sure what I'm waiting for. Just skip that. What did I do here? Why did I go back? What? Oh. Okay, so I ended up buying one of the death potions. Okay, so now we're going for it. I'm not exactly sure why I bought that death potion. I mean, in hindsight, I can say that I didn't die much on this run, like once or twice. But maybe I was feeling a bit scared. I'm not exactly sure, because at this point our build was so strong. So you're about to see this ad get absolutely ass blasted right there. How much damage was that? He's at 700. Yeah, he just took like 600k damage from that pain. It was a pain death combo, I think. Pain into death. But we haven't picked up our there you go, that's the one I was looking for. Painbreaker Psalm. Shadow Word Death consumes your Shadow Word pain effects on the target, dealing all the remaining damage. So this combined with the Caphar Stick and Pain Wheels just deals so much damage. Especially if you can also get the power that... There's a couple of other like pain powers, right? Like there's the pain power that makes your first hit crit always. We're also stacking our death stacks, which is making our death deal a ridiculous amount of damage. All of those things are very, very nice. It's very, very good synergy. At the same time, they're not mandatory. So the death stacks, not mandatory. It's a nice power. It's very, very nice to have. The crit hit on the first pain is a nice power to have. Again, not mandatory. But yeah, all of that, very, very nice synergy, right? So we'll keep on going. These skeletons, sometimes they aggro onto the fade, whatever. Sometimes they don't. Not entirely sure what's up with that, but it's whatever. You can see these skeletons right here are just not bothered by the fate at all. But, I mean, they don't have a lot of health, you can deal with them very fast. Second Arcane Bolt out, again, just more damage decks. All of that is just really starting to add up now. I completely missed that key to my left side, by the way. I mean, I figured it out later, but I just ran past it, didn't even realize. It's right there. So as you can see right there, I just hovered over my shield real quick, and that's a 50k shield right now. So 50k, not bad. It's a decent amount of life that you get like every 7 seconds. Rather. So I think I'll go for the 10%, or do I go for the Necromite? I think I... Nope, still 10 fragments. I was gonna say, I thought I was going for the Necromite, because at this point I'm having so much intellect that, you know, getting the extra crit might be nice, but I think I do pick it up later at some point. Because you get offered it, you know, quite a lot, given it's just an uncommon. In most circumstances, I probably would have feared sooner. Because keep in mind, we also still have the 25 damage in a single hit talent, which is actually proves to be quite useful. But you can't guarantee to get it, so I mean, you know, I probably would have feared sooner, and waited for my cooldowns again. But at this point, I go for the Necromite, right? I have to. Yeah, okay. The other two, kind of whatever. I mean, was that the Flesh Heal talent that I got? Oh no, okay, never mind, it's the Fear one. I was gonna say, there's another epic that you can get, it's like a Flesh Heal power that stacks up. That would have been a good one, but never mind. Yeah, definitely Necromite. Get the extra crit. Onto floor 14. These are pretty small. It's the fractured chambers, I think. That's what it's called this way. So some pretty like tight rooms. Not a whole lot of space to work with, but you know, from start to where the final boss is on the floor, there's not a. These wings aren't too big. We can see 2 stacks of those arcane bolts supposedly is like 35k damage, but if it crits or, you know, it scales with intellect, it's gonna deal a ton of damage. So here I'm probably, like, for the next couple of floors I'm gonna be focusing on these Morat strats. So with all the bloating fodder, whatever it's called, the one that makes the Morats explode, you can really just annihilate big packs. So that's what I'll be doing. So again, we fade, we take it nice and slow. Yet we demolish this guy. Again, nothing to worry about. I was gonna say, do I even end up by using my Sun King trinket? But I do use it right there. Again, I'm not screaming. In normal circumstances I would have screamed, but keep in mind I do have the damage reduction, so I didn't feel like it was necessary just yet. Even though we got kinda close to dying right there, so probably would have been a wise thing to scream them away and focus one of them. We probably could have one-shot the one guy just with a ping. Some more damage, crit damage, always nice. So this room, I'll really be using that Molrat strat, and you'll see just how effective it is. And why the bloating fodder is so good. I think I'm trying to mind control this guy. Yeah. So make the most out of it. Get more Morats rather. So this one's interesting as well, right? Usually, I mean, I don't mind these bars at all. There's like one where you can't backpedal, there's one where you can't jump, things like that, and usually the payoff is very much worth it. Like in this case, 30% increased intellect. I mean, life barrier, as opposed to this one, this was a pretty easy choice, so we would have gone with this one either way. If this would have been Cathartic or Dictionary, I think it would have been a very tough choice, honestly, because 30% increased intellect obviously wouldn't have been as much as Perfect Dictionary, but we also get the 30% increased stamina, right? And I think this is what really, like, made the cut for me, is the fact that, yeah, sure, 30% intellect, I mean, it's a decent amount, it's not bad at all. But the 30% increased stamina is also really big, and once again, I do want to balance out the decrease that we got, so I think that's what made the clear cut for me. It would have been a very, very tough choice if, the other option would have been Cathartic or Dictionary. But I think I still would have gone for the intellect and stamina. Just because, intellect is nice, 30% intellect, but there's also the stamina. And that's a very, very big upgrade. So we're at 115k HP right now. And that is with, the 45% decrease that we have right now, I believe. More shield absorption. It's probably the pick right there. And we're on the second to last broken floor. It's going pretty fast. I mean, all things considered. End up going for the Holy Fire upgrade. And again, Burlap Stash and Endurance, you're bound to get those. So we pick up the Sash, we pick up the additional health. Not entirely sure what I was looking at there. Do I end up applying Fortitude? That's a big question. So 60% increased stamina from Fortitude right now because of the upgrades. We also picked up quite a lot of Oberon's. We picked up 5 of those, so that's another 75%. We got 30% additional stamina as well from the elite cut in half power that we got at the start, and then another 30% stam from the no jumping power. And you can see the Silis, or however you pronounce that, we're at 165% increased damage and healing, but obviously we're at quite a disadvantage with the health, but we're negating all of that with the amount of sashes that we picked up. So again, this is not mandatory at all. Like, that Silis of the Nafrius, the chance of getting that, I'm not sure how big it is, but definitely not very big. It's not part of the main build. The main build really just consists of Psychic Scream damage, the damage it takes to break Psychic Scream, the Psychic Scream duration, the Fade Cooldown, Fade Illusion, Horrific Dictionary, and Catharstic. Those are like the main components of the build. Try aiming for those, and anything that you can get that, works well in synergy around that is just amazing. And I guess the def consuming pain stacks is also quite nice. It's also like kind of main component of the build. So if you can get that, it's obviously very, very nice. I would say those powers are like the main components of this build. Anything that you can get that works around it is just incredible. I was just kind of going through powers right now. Just gonna skip forward. Looks like we're taking a break, so I'm just gonna cut to where we start again. So you can see the Marats are really just cleaning up these packs. This was a tough one. God. Please. This was a really tough choice. Cruelty Sensor over Oberon. I'm just gonna play it out because I'm not sure which one I went for. I think Cruelty Sensor? That would have been, yeah. So Cruelty Sensor, amazing. 35% increased when things are feared, which we will be doing. Or at least that's our intention for the last boss, is just making use of that increased psychic screen duration and all of that. But yeah. The 6% increased damage also wouldn't have been bad. 6% increased crit damage, because we're stacking those up quite nicely. I think we've got like 4 of those right now. 3 or 4. So it also just results in a lot of damage. You can see our illusion broke very fast there. Didn't mean to kill that Morat. Did I skip that room? No, because I'm pretty sure I went for that elite in the back. I think I was just looking to see if there were any other Morats. Luckily pulling one didn't pull all of them, so that was good. I'm just opting for more Phantasma there, because I think any power that we could have gotten from the broker was probably more meaningful than the other two. And that's kind of the main thing, right? Like when you're, especially with this build, not talking about other classes, but especially with this build, since, like I said before, so many powers are common, you are bound to get them from the brokers, so if you're offered Phantasma, try and weigh it out with the other two powers and see if the other two powers are better than what you could potentially get from the broker or not. Because I think, like, if we got another Pain Wheel, or if we got another Burlap Sash or whatever, like, any of those powers would have been better than the other two that we were offered. So that's why the 150 Phantasma was technically better. I'll take the colored skull rune chest over this one any day of the week. I absolutely hate this one. Weakness, wait time to come up. Immunity again. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the flash heal one. I guess it works nice in tandem if you have like powers that increase your Phantasma gain, but we didn't really, so... So I'm just gonna round these up, get a bunch of more rats, and then make swift work of that guy. There is one room where I think there's like one more death that I have. It might have been on the next floor, I think. There was like a pack where I got a bit overconfident. Yeah, I'm like by no means playing this perfectly or whatever, because I'm getting a bit overconfident because of the damage reduction power that we got. Because like normally you'd see me, I'm not sure, I haven't obviously edited this video yet, so another cruelty sensor, really good by the way. I haven't edited this video yet, so I'm just giving my commentary right now. Once I get to editing, I might start off by playing some footage of my layer 7 that I did, in which you can see the build kind of to its fullest potential, because I didn't get some of the like stupid broken powers that I had right now. Because like I said, in this run I'm getting very very lucky with the powers. But even in the layer 7, like this build is not hard to create or pursue at all, because of how many common powers there are. And really the only epic that you need is the Fade Illusion one, really. So if you can get that going, you can pretty much create this build, or recreate this build. And anything additional that you get is just, you know, very nice to have. So, like, you don't see me use Scream or... I mean, you see me use Fade quite a lot, obviously, because that's, like, the main component, but you don't see me Scream a whole lot, because, you know, I knew I couldn't pretty much... Like, it's impossible to get one shot, right? Unless I'm at unless I'm at 25% health. Like, at that point, yeah, sure, but... Like, it's impossible to get one shot, so that's obviously very lucky, but, yeah, like, even without that power, this build is still just simply no stress. Like, there's no panic involved with this whatsoever. You fade, you scream, you kill. It's easy as that. I didn't see what my shield absorption was right there, but I think I ended up, like, near the end of the run, I ended up with, like, 60 some... K shields. So yeah, if you pick up some bloating fodders, just lead those rats right into packs. It's a tactical nuke incoming. And we're still not pulling big, even though I could have pulled that entire pack and then just used my Unholy Nova. That would have dealt with him quite nicely, so would have my Fate would have. But yeah, there's no, again, no rush. Well, for 16, there's no point in going fast right about now. We've already spent like so much time in here. So just keep on taking it slow. Don't take huge packs when there's a bunch of elites in them. This guy broke out of our fear, and I'm still not entirely sure why or how, but I mean, he just got dunked on. None of these particularly good. Especially not in this stage. Enduring Spirit is kinda really whatever. Whatever, however you pronounce that, is just really not good. The Marat Fleshcraft Shield is a good power, but I mean, you kinda have to get that one early, I feel like, because it helps you progress through. Not sure what I'm waiting on. Enduring Spirit again, so that one is just not good. I mean, unless you want to be safe, right? You could pick up a bunch of Enduring Spirits and just start the fight with Guardian Spirit. So that way, you know, you get increased healing on yourself. That's fine and all. You could do that. But, I mean, realistically, you just want to proc your wings when you feel like you're about to die. If you have decently fast reflexes, that shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. But if you don't, you know, pick up some Enduring Spirits, it'll definitely help. Personally wouldn't recommend, but, you know, it's whatever. If there's no other choice, then so be it, obviously. I think this is where I take the back pedal one. Because, again, the Shadow Word Pain expiring one is... it's really not that good when you're just doing solo content. So I think this is where I just go for more damage. I'm not really sure what this event is all about. Like, you rescue a bunch of dudes and they just start fighting packs. I'm not sure what that is about, because I don't think I got any anima powers from it. They're just kind of here chilling, tanking for me, I guess. Yeah, this is, I think this is where I do die. I ended up pulling pulling the entire pack. So I got a little bit of help from Morat to, clean up the pack, but the big guy was too much. Well, not too much, but just got a bit overzealous. Because that's a lot of mobs incoming. And you can see I just got blasted down, so... Could have feared, tried tackling it that way, but... yeah. Damage is still ticking. Get that fortitude back up. We're back up to 120k HP. Some reduced magical damage. It's not bad. Yeah, it's the only power we got offered, but you know, it's not a bad one. Impulsor's kinda whatever. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's a good power. It's, you know, it's there. I guess there's some synergy with the... Actually, is there synergy with Cruelty Sensor? I should have a look at the powers and see if it actually works on dazed targets as well. Not too sure. But yeah, these ads are going down very fast. And since this is the last floor, once again, I'm not trying to go fast or anything. Before we tackle that last boss, we're gonna quickly explore and see if we missed anything. Because I think I missed one of the corridors. Both of these, not too good. Here I do pick up the Orb of Replenishment, because, I mean, we don't really need the Mastery, it's only 3%, and Mastery just doesn't really do much in solo content, so... I mean, it's not bad by any means, but yeah, it's just not what we want. Neither is the Orb of Replenishment, but it's better than 3% Mastery at least, because we can rely on that if needed. So these free dudes are just gonna go ham on the boss, even though they're not really doing anything. I guess they're juggling aggro, because you can see here the boss is like constantly switching back and forth. Which was kind of funny. The fade wasn't really lasting too long. It's just really funny to see him ping pong back and forth. Another horrific dictionary. Forgot about that one. So we're up to 5 right now. And like I said, it's pretty lucky. If you can get anywhere between 3 and 5, or more than that, you're just set. Like 3 is already a reasonable amount, because you can get up to, what, like 150, 200% increased intellect with that. So yeah, 4 is really good. 5 is really, really good. Anything more than 5 is just exceptionally good. You're, I mean, you can get 3 quite easily. You find them quite a lot, to be fair. Obviously, it requires a little bit of luck. It's still a rare power, but you know, you can find multiple for sure. Starting off with 1 is a huge help. So we get the Fig Burlap Sash, more health, and we're also lucky enough to get a Fleeting Potion, which does increase our damage. If you can find a Fleeting Potion along the way, so if you say that the second broker or whatever, if any of the brokers have one, I would probably, like, if any of the previous ones would have had one, I probably would have picked it up. Because that's, you know, 30% increased damage. That's a lot of damage. So just pick one up, save it for the last boss. And yeah, I mean, if you find more of them, you can buy more of them. But generally, just, you know, if you find one, pick up one of them and save it for the last boss. I probably would have picked it up over like an Oberon Endurance or something, honestly. So yeah, this boss, what's his name again? Crosaurus or something? Crosaurus the Fallen, I believe. This guy's kind of like the big owl dudes in that, you know, if you move around, he gains stacks of Frenzy, which increases his damage. So the gist of this fight is just to stand still and blast away, pretty much. And we killed the broker for some, for shits and giggles, since I forgot to use my Ravenous Cell. Which was bound to happen. Reflective Shield, decent. And, sure, casting speed reduce. So yeah, are we going to... No? Yep, okay. Wasn't sure what I'm doing. So you can see the boss has 6.7 million health. It's quite a lot, and that is reduced because we're a healer. So try to stand still as much as possible. You have to move obviously for the big AoE thingies, but after that just stand still. Use your fades, use your screams, heal up if needed. He took, how much damage was that? Oh sorry, but that was a chunk. He just went from 4.9 to 2.9, so that was a 2 million pain hit. Again, move for the AoE. And that's the fight. Enjoy your mounts, I would say. So I think I'm gonna go over the powers once again really quick. It's just so you can see we had 5 horrific dictionaries increasing our intellect by 250%, which is huge. Once again, if you can get 3 of them, that's insane. Or not insane, but if you get 3 of them, that's already good enough. If you get more than 3, that's amazing. What else we got? We got free bloating fodders, which helped us clear the later rooms quite efficiently. 2 Kafar sticks, which increases our pain damage by 40%. Again, if you can get more than 2, that's obviously amazing. But anything related to Kafar stick, or that increases your pain damage, is kind of bread and butter for this build. So 2 of them, really nice. We got 6 Oberon endurances, increasing our max health by 90%. We got 7 burlap sashes, which increases our stamina by another 7 or 70%. What else is noteworthy? We got 4 cruelty sensors, which I guess I'm gonna go over it anyway. Mask of Sheer Terrors, so we could have gotten a couple more of those. Free is not really a whole lot. That's 1200% increased psychic scream damage before it breaks. We could have picked up a couple more. Generally, like, this power is really good if you don't get all of the other like busted powers that I kind of got on this run. Stacking more of these will definitely help, because as you saw earlier, we feared the boss and pretty much broke through it right away, even though that's 1200%. So, yeah, you can try and stack more of those for sure. We got 2 Fate cooldown reductions, which works really well with the Fate Illusion. Our Scream was lasting 20% longer, or 20 seconds longer if we needed it, which pretty much makes Scream be off cooldown. Like, if you sit out the entire Scream, that's off cooldown straight away. 4 Cruelty Sensors, 140% increased damage. 2 Globules, that's 100k nature damage. Any of those powers, like the nature damage and the arcane power, or the arcane bolt ones, scale really well with intellect and all of that, and grit. So picking those up is a huge damage increase. 5 Pain Wheels, 125% increased damage on Shadow of Pain. Really good. Obviously, get as many Pain Wheels as you can. This talent is incredible, especially in combination with Kafar Stick. The initial pain hit crit one is also really good with that. Anything pain related and pain wheel related is amazing. Silas of the Naphrius got 210% increased damage, which obviously did help us out a lot. Also, max health reduced by 70%. So unless you're confident that you can stack a lot of health like we can with shields and, endurances and fortitude powers, because like even with the 70% reduced, we still had 110 KHP, which is nothing to scoff at really. So, it's not the most that we could have had. Without that power, we would have had like 250% or 250k health. But yeah, like even with that definitely helped us out. But not mandatory, not necessary at all. 25% of my max health shields, which gave us like a 60k shield, something like that. Or a 50k shield, something like that. What else did we pick up? Oh yeah, so I think I mentioned at the start as well, start off with the Psychic Voice, reducing the cooldown of your Scream. It's probably a better one, but if you do pick up the Psychic Voice talent, then you can get Censure, so the combination of those obviously very good. What else do we have? Wish I'd go a bit faster. Obviously, Fate Illusion, that's like the main component of the build. 35% increase first, that was nice to have, nothing mandatory. Oberon Venom, 25% increased crit damage, that's pretty big. You can stack more of those if you want, I'm pretty sure I could have picked more of those really, but 24% increased crit damage is already quite nice. Pain Breaker Psalm, sorry, I just scared myself for a second because my headphone was telling me it has low battery. So yeah, Painbreaker Psalm, kinda key component for this build. You kinda want to get it, but definitely prioritize the Fate Illusion over that one. But yeah, really good power. Definitely pick it up if you can. Morat for health increase. Increased stam and intellect from the no jumping one. It's pretty big. Enduring Spirit, not really all too bothered with. not being able to backpedal, but dealing shadow damage, it's kind of whatever, you can definitely take it. I'd recommend taking like these powers, these no jumping and no backpedaling powers until like later on in the run. Once you're sure that your build is really come together and you're, not afraid of dying, at that point just go for those type of powers because the payoff is usually well worth it. But obviously there might be cases where you can get like feared off an edge. Not like off the edge, because obviously fear doesn't like straight up send you off the edge. But there might be times where you can get into like some sticky situations where you might want to backpedal or you might want to like jump over some type of obstacle to create some space. So keep that in mind. But we picked these powers up very late into our run, so at that point I was pretty much sure that, we were going to kill the final boss no matter what. So yeah, definitely picked those up. Pretty good powers. Defiance of Death was a really good power on this run. I'm glad I picked it up. It definitely made our life much easier. But again, you're not guaranteed to get it since it's a power from one of the epic mobs. Or elite mobs, rare mobs, whatever you want to call them. So, not guaranteed, but it definitely helped. But even without, again, Fade, Illusion, Fade Reduction, and Scream will get you a very long way. We also had the Reflective Shield, and I think only just one stack. And then whatever that last one is. Yeah, casting speed, whatever. But I think, I'm not sure, again, with the editing, I'm not sure if I'll be showing the clip beforehand or after this run, but you might have seen in that clip that in the layer 7 run that I did, I was mainly focused on shielding myself because I had a lot more powers related to shield, which is another reason because we had the Defiant one so early on with the increased, reduced damage taken. Because we got that power so early on, that's one of the main reasons why I ignored a lot of the shield powers. Without that talent, I probably would have picked up a lot more shield powers that, increase the max shield that we get based on our max health, as well as like reflective shields to help us out. Because, getting those shields is pretty much the same thing as getting this thing, right? Getting 25, not being able to take more than 25% of your max damage or max HP with a single hit, that's pretty much the same as having like a 200k shield. Like if you can stack up a bunch of health and you get like a 200k shield or whatever, that's pretty much the same thing as just not being able to take less than 25% of your max health per hit. So, but because of this one, I ignored a lot of the shield talents. But generally, the shield talents are kind of, main components for this build as well, because you're not guaranteed to get this one, but you are guaranteed to get the shield powers. And yeah, that was it. I think I'm gonna go back and teabag this guy now. He deserves it. Yeah, there you have it. But yeah, that was this fight. So yeah, I'm just gonna wish you guys good luck on getting this mount. I hope you guys enjoyed the guide, and I hope you guys, like I said, I hope you guys get the mount. It's a very cool mount. It's very nice to have a mount usable in the mall. So with that said, once again, thank you so very much for watching this guide. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm just gonna let this play out as an outro, and yeah, that's it. Oh, one last thing before I go to the outro. I am organizing a Torghast event. I think I mentioned it in my last video as well. Or I'm sure I mentioned it in my last video as well. Keep an eye on my Twitch channel for a date, a release date, or not a release date, but like a date for the event. I will announce it soonish. I'm still working on some things. It's been delayed by a couple of weeks because organizing it has been a little bit of a pain, to be honest, but I mean, we're getting there. It's gonna be a great event, so keep an eye out for that. If you're interested in seeing like a Torghast tournament with different people running against each other in different brackets, different categories, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So with that said, I'm gonna leave you guys with an outro that actually cracked me up. Just gonna turn up the volume for this one. Alright, anyway, enjoy guys. Once again, I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you all for watching. Enjoy the mount if you get it, which I'm sure if you follow this build, you will not have any issues getting this mount or completing Twisting Corridors whatsoever. Because Holy Priest is kind of king in, like Loki kind of king in Torghast. I don't enjoy Holy Priest in regular Torghast because there's only 8 floors before you get to the 8th floor. Is there 6? 8 floors? No, there's 6 floors, right? 6 floors. Before you get to the 6th floor, pretty much that's where the fun starts to begin, but at that point, the run is also over. So I don't enjoy regular Torghast, but in Twisting Corridor, Loki, I mean, Holy Priest is kind of good, as you guys saw. So yeah, with that said, thank you guys so much once again, and I'll see you in the next one.
Block, I'm just shooting for fun. Move around with a Glock on my dick, how I snap. If he touch me, I'm really gon' turn him to dust. 3200, I keep it a buck. Little Kezzy, he wordless, I don't give a fuck. Tony drawing my chop, but he kick going nuts. If you play with my branch, then these sticks burning up. They say I ain't bout what I'm saying, like, huh? I ain't repping no block, I'm just shooting for fun. Move around with a Glock on my dick, how I snap. If he touch me, I'm really gon' turn him to dust. Oh, they like Kez in this bitch. Shit is really getting lit. If you shucking, then you goofy, and my dogs is with the shit. Lay that bitch out on the ice, it's like it's hockey with the stick. Yeah, Kezzy Luffy to your set. How Shoku hockey kill your clique. Pussy boy, ayy. I cause murder on your block. I keep my money on my stove. I got a burner by the pot. And that mean don't touch this bag. I'm shooting buckets with the mop. Body bags in my trunk, but I'ma dump him on the spot. 3200, I keep it a buck. Little Kezzy, he wordless, I don't give a fuck. Tony drawing my chop, but he kick going nuts. If you play with my branch, then these sticks burning up. They say I ain't bout what I'm saying, like, huh? I ain't repping no block, I'm just shooting